Mention some sparkling fake wine is getting it.
You will not. Kente, are we live? Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast experience. We are basically going to be talking again with Tiffany, but this time we're talking with her about writing the life you want, about short stories. So we are going to talk about short stories of life on many facets and hats that she wears as a writer, a mother, a single woman, a creator, and a friend. So introducing none other than Tiffany Hall, aka Trapunzel, or as Kente calls her, Trapnizzle. Tiffany, how are you? Look, how are you, my dear?
I'm good. Surprisingly awake for it to be 4:00 in the morning.
I know. Look, I have to realize that there are other people in my house that are sleeping, and the one that lives next door, she says she lives in a drum, so I'm trying to keep it down, but my giggles carry.
No,
so.
As loud as I want to, and I will not be disturbing anybody.
I don't have that luxury, so but I really don't care either.
So I'm not moving him. He's too heavy.
Don't put my boo like that. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is you are a writer and you have gotten into poetry, but your niche seems to be a love for short stories.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell me how you got into short stories.
The very first short story that I remember writing was for a 7th grade English class. And we had to write a story about traveling through the Underground Railroad. She said it could just be a page. I wrote an 11-page, and at that time, my writing was teeny tiny. I wrote an 11-page, double-sided short story that included a girl shooting a dude at the end because he touched her inappropriately. I was 11 and a half years old.
Wow.
No.
Do you still have that story?
Huh?
Do you still have that story?
The crazy part about this is this woman disappeared like a thief in the night. Like, we had that teacher that assigned that. She collected our assignments. We had a new teacher after she collected our assignments.
Oh, she was going to make some money.
I remember being heartbroken that I did not have that story anymore. But I remember everything. I remember looking at a map, going through the places, trying to be historically accurate. I was 11. So my love of words came at a very young age. And I always wrote stories, but I would never let anyone else read them. The first time that I started letting people read my writing was in the group.
Yeah.
So.
And what was that like? The first experience of caring. What did that feel like? I know there's probably some vulnerabilities there, but what was that like for you?
It was nerve-wracking. And then you can have your family say, "Oh, I think you would be an amazing writer," and you think they're saying that because they have to say that. But to have people I'd never met, we hadn't established any connection, say, "I like where this is going. I want to see what happens at the end of this." That meant everything. So That's how it started at 11, getting a class assignment for a teacher that, I promise you, this woman never came back to the school. We were not given any explanation as to why she was no longer our teacher. Mm-hmm. She would either quit or got fired. I don't know. But that established what I wanted to do.
Absolutely. So over this 20-plus year career of writing short stories, because that's literally now that you started at 11 and you're in your 30s, right. What has been your most surprising work that you were like, wow, this is really good. This has bones. This could go into a novel, not just a short story.
I think I put in the group for the Baby Love and Pharaoh Tales.
Is that Synchronized Dreams?
Yes, Synchronized Dreams. And I have not
think about that.
Huh?
I said, give us a synopsis because I know what that is, but those viewing do not know what that is.
I changed the names, so I don't even think you've heard the new names. So the synopsis is a young lady by the name of Trinity Holland. She is basically living her life. She had a tumultuous past, and she found herself. She's also a writer.
Mm-hmm.
She's a writer. She used to be an activist. She still does that, and she empowers other minority writers. So her and her friends, they have a publishing company, and that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And she finds out that a gentleman that she interviewed as a college student, because she worked for the paper in college,
mm-hmm.
he escaped from prison. He's in prison for almost murdering her. He got a life sentence for attempting to murder her and murdering two other colleagues of hers. So during this, she has to figure out what she wants to do with her love life, because of course I love to write about love.
Me too.
It's just her putting the end chapters on everything that happened to her in the past and not holding on, not only seeing the past in negative moments. It's teaching, this experience is going to teach her to look at life through the lens of gratitude, thankfulness, and just things that she doesn't consider, because she's very woe is me at times.
Yeah. Okay. So how closely, Trinity, correct?
Yes.
How closely do you relate to this character in terms of, do you write from experience of your own, or is it an intermingling of other experiences?
I do write from experiences of my own, but I also I pull from everybody. So in writing for Trinity, I think she has some traits of my sister, myself. I write for traits of people. I think it's easy to write them off.
Right.
In writing stories, I want to tell the stories of people that, okay, I never thought about it like that. Or, oh, I have a friend that does this. Maybe I should be a bit more compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I never looked at this person that suffers from this. You know, this will help me to interact with people in my own life. Right.
So, what advice would you give someone, because you like short stories? I know you've gotten into poetry, which we'll talk about that shortly, because you know that's my love, and you love your poetry. So we'll talk about that too. But I want to get into the meat and potatoes of you writing short stories. What advice would you give someone who is dabbling for the first time in short stories? What should they do? What should they look for? How should they develop this story?
I would approach it as a short story does not have to give a complete picture. Okay. A short story is like zooming in. You ever seen those panoramic pictures where you can do 360, even on Facebook, if you keep scrolling, you can see all the way around?
Right.
A short story is supposed to be a regular picture of that.
Okay.
You don't get the complete beginning, you don't get the complete end, but within this short story, you have this complete picture that you can get all your information from. And that's just how I approach it. I don't want to tell you the entire story in a short story. And I want it to be speculative. I want you to come to your own conclusion of what happens to these people.
Okay. Kind of reminds me when we were kids. I don't know if you had this book, but it might have been Puss in Boots, where you went to a certain page and it says, if you want this to happen, go to page 59. If you want this to happen, go to page 12.
Love those books. I did not have those books.
Look, and I remember I used to just go to every scenario to see how things would end, and then I'd go back and read it all over again and pick the one that I immediately fell in love with.
Yeah.
It's like I had to go through all of them, unfortunately, to get to the story I wanted. But that's kind of what I think of when I think of a short story, because it is that pinpoint in time over a series of time that tells a bigger story, but you're only getting that moment. who were your in your short story history, who were your least favorite or least developed characters that you want to spend extra time with maybe this year developing?
A character that I modeled after a guy I know in real life. And it's not so much as his real life, just a police officer character that I put in a short story. I haven't given him a final name yet.
Which police officer character?
I
said, which police officer?
The officer that Trinity and Dex are fighting about.
Okay.
That Baby and Pharaoh are fighting about because he thinks she betrayed him, and she's like, no, I did not. And that officer, I want him to have his own standalone story.
Okay.
Because just in my regular 9-to-5 work, because I'm a 911 operator, working so closely with officers, especially African American officers, and seeing those two worlds butt heads.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize the prejudice and the name calling, the disrespect that they have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
All they want to do is do their job and go home safe.
Yeah.
So I want to explore that world. I want to see what that looks like. I want to explore the PTSD that you can't deal with because you're afraid it'll hurt your career. The personal relationships that you sabotage because you haven't got help for these issues. Like, I really want to explore that.
It's funny that you mentioned that, the sabotaging the relationships because you haven't gotten help with. The guy, so 3 guys ago, 3 guys ago was a police officer. And he's a police officer in one of the top 10 roughest cities in the country. And I'll never forget to this day what he said to me. He said, if you're looking for a man who has emotion, you might as well look for somebody else because it's not me.
He's not lying.
And I was like, and that broke my heart for him, not for myself. Because one, you get into this role, into this field, into this career where you have to be, so you don't have room for emotion. But the thing is, in that job, there's emotion attached to what you see, attached to whom you have to talk to. When you are telling somebody their child is missing, when you tell someone that their child is deceased, when you tell someone that their mother has been murdered, when you tell someone that their father was hit by a drunk driver, to tell me that you are void of emotion, and to seemingly expect me to want to deal with that for the duration of my life, because this is a person who wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. I was like, I had to search my soul, because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do it. Like, I'm not going to be able to spend the rest of my life with you.
He didn't expect you to stay. I can almost guarantee it. He knew it wasn't going to work. He had already accepted it. He was like, oh, well. And those emotions will come back out in the craziest of ways later on in life. So he's going to have to deal with that.
And the thing is that we cycled. We cycled over... We first met in 2013, and we cycled through 2018. And so he had said something to me, and I didn't respond. And I didn't respond because, one, you're absolutely right. Until he deals with those emotions, and he's no longer a police officer, he has since retired. But until he dealt with those emotions that he had trapped, that lay dormant, I would be of no service to him anyway.
Yeah.
I would be no earthly good to him. And because I am innately an emotional person and a nurturer of emotions, that relationship would not be healthy for me. But I empathize.
Yeah.
That is a difficult. So for you to write those stories, that could be powerful. That could be, it could give them permission to finally be free to express. I have to live the expression of you.
I have to change the title of it because I actually had started working on a collection of stories called Dispatch.
Okay. I
I think
remember you mentioned this.
I put this novel in Noveler, the software that I use, maybe a year before the show came out. So when the show came out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to call it something else, but I might not. I might leave it at Dispatch.
Right.
You would have it. Because it's the perfect verb for
Right.
what I want these stories to convey.
Absolutely.
Because dating a police officer or dating someone in the military is like dating a person from another planet. The things that they have to see and walk around like it's normal is crazy. Like even doctors don't have to go through that because it's not as gruesome on the medical end of it as it is on the policing end of it. And it's just even some of the things like, okay, when you said that the things that you have to tell people, like if your mom died or this or that, we had a boy who had put a missing persons report out on his mother.
Mm.
So he was all the way, I think he was an hour away from my jurisdiction. We call around. He said, I'm tracking her phone here. In the area that he was in was the record service that we use for my jurisdiction. So they look at the VIN, they look at the car, they pull up the call. It was a car accident. She died. He didn't know.
Mm.
So I know this. My coworker knows this. The police that now knows this. We can't tell him because he has an hour drive to get back home. So we call his grandfather, who had come to the house because she went missing. But she wasn't missing. She was deceased and they didn't know. I had to tell him, oh, it's fine. Your grandfather has all the information. Go home. You know, she's not missing. And I'm sounding chipper and I'm telling him this. He hangs up the phone and I'm just like, whew, breathe. And my coworker's like, I need a drink now because we just lied to this boy to go drive for an hour to go find out why his mother isn't missing anymore.
Right.
Dealing with that one instant, officers have to be face to face with that. So it's just writing. When I first started writing, I wanted to tell the stories that I couldn't articulate any other way.
Right.
And now that I'm older, it's the same. Like it has not changed. I want to tell the stories of people that are misunderstood, people that are marginalized, people that are judged. And so I deal with topics that I wish I could see in other books that I.
And you seem to throw love in there, I hear. So what is it about these groups and these proportions of topics that wants you to incorporate, like it's the underdog, but you still want them to find love? Why do you take that approach opposed to say
people that can love, whether it be in a romantic or platonic, because I think we downplay platonic relationships. We think romantic is the end all be all. People that can love freely without inhibitions, without, feeling weird about it. People that can that level of emotion, they are fully functioning people. And it's hard sometimes to do that. So I want to show that no matter how jacked up you think a person is, everybody is capable of giving and receiving love.
all right now. I wish look, in the writing world of short stories, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
For short stories,
Yes.
confidence. Because I write so much. I've published maybe to Wattpad. So another thing we were talking, goal for this year for my personal writing goals, I want at least 10 of my stories published somewhere, and not just on Wattpad or in Noveler.
So, are you going to be submitting for BBB magazine? Victoria's Big Look, the one that you had said you wanted the information for
Yes,
the
information for it, and I will be submitting. I'm working on something right
every
now.
month.
Yeah.
It's every month. So in essence, you could literally write for them every month and get paid for it.
So I'm definitely doing that. I'm doing it's a couple of contests that I said I was going to enter, and I'm working on 2 pieces for that. And another thing that I wanted to dabble in because I'm such a fan of it, but I rarely write it, is the horror fiction.
What's your intriguement with that?
People snapping. Because people think that people that commit heinous, incomprehensible crimes are just these monsters. And I don't know if that makes me a little bit crazy that I think, sounds like a great backstory. I wonder what made her that way or him that way. There's always a backstory. Hell, even John Wayne Gacy had a backstory. So I'm always intrigued by the backstories. Maybe more now because of what I do.
Right. Well, Jen just said that's what she writes. In the group chat, in the chat, she said that's what she writes. So she writes horror stories.
Oh, please link something because I will read it all.
Look, I just told her to join the conversation. Maybe she will. If I remember correctly, she might be in Hawaii. Okay, so you love stories of the underdog, the marginalized, the seemingly suffering, and then you're interested in horror stories. Let's shift past stories and talk about how you develop, and let me just give a quick backdrop. Me and Tiffany met in WBAC, which is Writers Black Artists Connected, and it's a subgroup of the bigger group that Kente created, which is Black Artists Connected. And I remember that first year, which would have been 2015, you would always post, I'm not really a poet, but here's a poem. Or poetry's not really my thing, but I'm going to try a haiku. And I'd be like, anybody can write a poem. I was like, and poems is what you expound upon when you create short stories or a song or a rap or whatever. So tell me what it was like for you getting into poetry and finally owning the moment where you said, I am a poet. I actually do write poetry, opposed to, I'm not a poet.
It's so crazy. I didn't start writing poetry until I was a teenager.
Okay.
I wrote skits, short stories. I was always that kid that if it was an assignment involving writing, I'm going to make it the most outrageous story ever. But poetry came later when I realized, okay, so when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a rapper. But I love music, and I was 11, and you couldn't tell me that I wasn't the missing member of Naughty by Nature or the first rap song I learned in totality. Tag team, back again, checking the record, let's begin, party on, party people, let me hear some noise, DC's in the house, want to jump for joy. Like, that was me. So as I got older and as I actually got into other poets, like when Def Poetry Jam came about, that's what really sparked me to say, I would like to just try my hand at doing this. I was never as confident in my poetry as I was my writing. Writing was second nature to me.
Right.
And poetry was like learning another language of writing.
Right.
But now if people ask, am I as confident in my poetry as I am my writing, I would tell them probably, yeah.
Okay. So who are your greatest writing influences? Because we already know who your greatest music influences for writing are.
For writing, as far as horror goes, the godfather of horror, Stephen King. I absolutely love Steve. I hate his movies, but he is an amazing writer. His book is phenomenal. Anne Rice. I love the
Okay.
Queen Chronicles. I love the Queen of the Damned and A Devil Named Memnoch. And I like Dan. I used to like Danielle Steele when I was younger because all of the flowery love stories. But Rosa Guy, I love her. She's a writer from like the late 80s.
Okay.
Her books became really popular. I found her through my school library. Edgar Allan Poe, um, Brandon Macy is a African American artist from today. Like he just wrote a book called Mama.
Okay.
So I like how I look at writing. I like my written work to look like a movie. Like what drew me to writers like Shonda Rhimes. She'll have something in the first episode. She'll expound on that something, and you question, okay, why is she talking to this dude? 6 episodes later, she has weaved that tale in, and she gives you the answer to the first episode. I like writing that.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I like a true backstory. I want to know if you talk to the cab driver and then at the end somehow he's back at, like, I like stuff like that. I like amazing backstories, and I think the writers that I'm gravitated towards, they give that as far as the short stories and the novels are concerned.
And so with your short stories, how does that play in your experience as a mother? You know, what do you want? I mean, because do you want to write stories that your children can pick up and read, conversations that they can get in on?
Maybe not so much at the age they are now.
Okay.
But my daughter, she has told me when her confidence isn't as great, she would say, Mom, mommies are magical. Because they can just make you feel so awesome about everything.
Your daughter is so sweet.
I also use poetry in how I communicate with my children. Like, we come up with songs for learning and math. We come up with songs for confidence. We do affirmations. I just made them do their vision boards. And Kari hung hers up on her wall. So written communication is very important to me for them. Maybe not so much with my personal stories that I put out to the world, but I'm very particular in what I say to them and how I say it to them.
Right.
I harp on them about that. There is power in your words. I said, if you punched your brother today, he's not going to remember that pain when he's an adult. He'll remember you hit him. He won't remember how it feels. Your words have the power to either destroy somebody or to
build them up
into them. Yeah. So I emphasize that you cannot be rude and nasty to people. I'm very strict on them about how they make others feel.
Oh, absolutely.
Or anything else, because depression in children is scary. They don't have that inner confidence, or that they take what people say as gold. Like, if you said this to me, you have to be telling the truth. And so I'm very particular in how I direct my words towards them. Even when I'm disciplining them, I think I made up the word mollywop. Or something crazy. Instead of saying I'm a beat you, or da 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 da, I'm going to mollywop you if you don't. Like, I will literally make up a word so it doesn't sound as harsh, but they know don't play with me.
Absolutely. And so, as a single woman, how you create especially your women characters in your stories, how does what you experience or not experience play a part in that? And what do you hope for what you haven't yet received, or hope for what you want to receive? Because I'm a writer too, so I get it. I do.
I saw a complaint in another writing group that I'm in, and they said, I read this story and this is the most ignorant crap. She was basically saying, why do men writers, when they write a woman looking into the mirror, why is she always admiring her body or touching on herself? Or the women don't do this, man.
All
I
facts.
think as a woman, it's very important for me to convey realistic things that you might necessarily get from dudes. Because I can admit, I've read some stuff and I'm like, yeah, no, this would never happen. Like ever in everdom. Or none melanated writers comparing us to food items all the time. And I'm just like, why? Why?
Now, that's an even deeper question. So, do you write, are all of your characters of color, or are there color lines that you cross?
No, they're not all characters of color by any means. And I feel like if I'm writing from an African American point of view, race is definitely going to be brought up. And I used to be very afraid of alienating, of I don't want to make someone angry. I don't want to offend anybody. But in your real life, you don't navigate life like that.
Right. Absolutely. That's not the true experience.
As seamless as possible. I'm not going to be like willfully ignorant.
Right.
My characters will have biases and prejudices just like everybody else. And I also have situations where my characters have an aha moment. Like, oh, you put your foot in your mouth because you assumed this about this person, huh?
Right. I love it. So what are you doing in 2019? You said 10 stories that you want to come out. Tell us about that and expound as long as you want to, because Kente's going to listen. Yeah, I know it's time for me to go take a break real quick. So keep talking. I'm listening.
All right. I want my main thing is just publishing, whether it's self-publishing or going through a publisher. But my goal right now is to self-publish shorts. And my goal is to go through Amazon Shorts. A writer that I was cordial with through the group told me about Amazon Shorts, and she was talking about how to navigate it, how to put your stories up. You don't have to have a full-length novel to self-publish, which is great because short stories are my thing. Like that is my element. That is all the way my lane. Mm-hmm. Novels is a little bit more difficult. It takes much longer to complete. But those short stories, though, I'm all about that life. So I'm compiling one now for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
and that's something that I want to get published.
What kind of short stories? Are they romantic? Are they, what?
Because I am team paranormal and morbid all day. They all have a little bit. They're like horror stories of love.
Oh, wow.
I have the title for it, but it's like, okay, in one of the stories, a woman who's afraid of thunderstorms because of her own personal background. Her husband is being really aggressive with her during the thunderstorm, and he knows better. So she's pushing him off. She's like, okay, leave me alone. She goes downstairs, and her husband walks through the garage. So if her husband walks through the garage, who was just in her bedroom?
Oh, shoot. Uh-oh.
I need to read this story.
Huh?
I said, I need to read this story.
Yeah, so all of them are going to be speculative horror fiction, but they have a Valentine's Day thing.
Oh,
and
wow.
this will be our Valentine's Day?
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm pushing it.
I support that. You got less than a month, my friend.
I know, huh? Yeah, you got just a couple weeks, yeah.
More than a couple of weeks. She got 25 days.
It's gonna be short. It's gonna be through Amazon Shorts. It's gonna maybe be 10 to 15 short stories. But it's just to it's like those personal goals that you have to, oh my God, I published this. If I can publish this, then I can do this. If I did this, then I can do this. It's just to get the ball rolling.
Absolutely. And then that's the goal I set out last year that I didn't do because I was working on the DDD. But if I could piggy off of you and your inspiration, I'd want to do a chapbook, a short poetry chapbook every month for the rest of the year.
Yes.
So I think writing is so important when you're a writer and keeping it fresh. And challenging yourself to write even when you don't feel like it. And finding out what comes from that when you do write. Because sometimes it's just doing that consistent writing that jogs your greater self.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that.
Develop characters or develop a new writing style, or you may have a breakup or a relationship that's really great, and it allows for different conversations to be sprung forth from that writing. So do you write visionary style? And what I mean by that is, do you write in ways that you can see this happening in your own life? Because I know you write about horror stuff, which I don't want to see you killing people or being the victim.
It's so crazy. I write in ways of where I can see me witnessing it happen.
Okay.
I write from the stance of a witness 90% of the time.
Okay.
It's like, okay, I can see this, I can see that, I can see like something like we questioned a caller on the phone, and I could have a whole backstory to what is happening on the other end of the time or what call. Like, I write it from the stance of a witness. It doesn't have to be me, but I have to see it happening, like legit happening in real life.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Can we determine things about you through your writing? Are there little nuggets to who the real how you say it, Trapunzel is like, or is that like a diagram to really knowing who the real Tiffany is?
No.
Really?
The only thing that you will be able to tell from my writing is that I'm passionate about Black people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm passionate about the family unit, self-care, and I love love. That is like the thing with most of the main protagonists. Maybe not so much the antagonists, but.
And I totally disagree because I know her and I have read her stories, and some of them we've had messenger conversations about, and I'm like, oh, so you was talking about X, Y, and Z. Look, so.
But see, that's inside looking in. Outside looking in, he would know.
Okay. Because I was like, I'm bored. My boys, I'm telling all your business. I'm like, no, she was talking about somebody in real life.
I'm telling all my own business, but under different names.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Have you ever had somebody read one of your stories and either correctly guess that it was about them or falsely say, oh, that's about me, but it really wasn't?
Neither situation. I've had somebody read the story and they like, who is this? Like, I've had somebody close to me read the story and be like, where you pulling this from? Because we didn't do this, and I'm just like, really? It's fiction. It is fiction for a reason.
Right. Hi, Fraser.
Interesting.
How's it going?
All right. We're talking about Tiffany's short stories. And
I was like, so it was good. It was good to hear. I like hearing these stuff. It's good to, especially if you're, as I was connecting with Shannon last night when I went to my bed, and you guys were obviously just gradually on the pre warm up. before this 24-hour stint. I always like to get opportunities to get people's brands in Scotland, so the opportunity is open.
Oh, you're in Scotland.
Yep. I'm a Blab person. I was on Blab when it was, so I was like Kindy was. So we're all,
Blab.
yeah, we were kind of Blab OGs before it died. So I will take, my door's open. I've got a podcast, radio show. I like to call Going Beyond Borders. So I like to help people bring their product to over the water if they want.
All right.
I'm going to have a connection at some point with Shannon later. Not today, but at some point later, when she's had about 10 hours sleep after this, she'll need it. So, yeah, just to have a chat and if a way of bringing what you do to a global platform. Plus my community. I've got a community of people, of authors, podcasters. Authors, podcasters, media. There's coaches, graphic designers, people who do kingdom beads, make little kind of beads, 7 precious gems. If you go to kingdombeads.com, Aoife Leatham, she's in Toronto. You can sponsors my show. There's people who do soap. There's all sorts of people you might actually know from. You might have crossed. So it's all a mixed bag if you like to bring your brand. I've got artists, musical artists as well. So I connect people. I will sit here and say, listen, I want you to connect with this person. They will benefit you or whatever you do. Especially with all your stories. If you want to be speakers. So anyway, you're gone quiet. Your sound's gone, Trapunzel.
You said my sound is going. I think it's the way.
You're just distant. That's why. That's it there.
There we go.
Are you still charging your phone, ma'am?
Yeah, I just plugged it back up. It was not gonna last that little.
I was like, we still have an hour and 14 minutes. And so, hour and 9 minutes because we get 5 a good hour.
That.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the writing that you have grown fond of within the group, or that has fostered growth in your own writing. What have you seen in the group or in other people that you know that you consider writers that has made you want to expound upon what you currently write?
I'm just going to start with the poetry mavens, and that's definitely going to be yourself,
Thank you.
Cruz, and Arian.
Mm-hmm.
Your poetry definitely pushed my poetry to a much higher level.
Those battles helped. We had battles in our earlier parts, like because we had so many different topics every day.
Which is why I challenged Arian out the blue. Like we hadn't even talked in a minute, and I tagged him, and I did not expect him to respond. But
are you talking about last year? The one y'all just did last year?
I did not expect him to respond. I thought he was going to say, girl, get out of here. But he actually responded. So just seeing the play on words, how serious you take your poetry. Because not to be rude, with any craft, you're going to have the bottom of the barrel. With any craft, you're going to have people doing it just because they think it's easy and they don't take it serious at all. Like I study writers. I read incessantly. I might not remember the authors' names, but I read everything. I have 3 6-foot bookshelves in my home, and I probably need maybe 3 or 4 more to the point where I'm gonna go on my Nextdoor app and do a book drive. Be like, listen, you want these books? Come get them, because I have too many books.
Let me come get some when I come back to Georgia. I said, let me come get some. You can never have too many books. Even though, don't tell my mother that, because I got a whole bunch of boxes in her garage and she is not happy about it.
Listen, I really take this craft seriously, and to see anybody take it as serious as me, be as deliberate with their words as myself, is amazing. So on the poetry standpoint, you all really upped my game because that was my weak area. I did that to relieve stress.
Mm-hmm.
And as a hobby, I never saw myself as a poet.
Right.
So definitely being in the group changed my mind. And who else? Tamia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm salty. They don't put their stories in there anymore.
Yeah,
So,
they're amazing.
So what are your stories about, Rapunzel?
just everyday marginalized people and the voices we don't get to hear. Like I was saying earlier, that I want to expound upon a character that's an African American police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And for some officers, that's a walking contradiction, especially with racial tensions between African Americans and police.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to get those voices heard, to give people an insight into fields that are shrouded in mystery or misconception. That would be amazing to me.
That's good, actually. I like that. I think that would be a good topic to interview on my podcast, my live one. That'd be really quite interesting. Go a bit. I like these kind of things. They're good. Heavy duty, straight to the point. You want to get to the facts. You want to actually, through your stories, you want to project a realism of the actual what happens in real life these days.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I want to bring.
No, that's good actually. Yeah, that's really interesting. So maybe at some point I'll hook. Are you friends with Shannon on Facebook by any chance?
Oh yeah.
What are you
in real life?
Okay, well, yeah, obviously you would be. What are you under? What's your name? Trina? Is it Tiffany? Tiffany Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, if you're happy, I'm gonna. If you're open to getting your stories further afield in what you do,
I'll definitely do that. That's a push I need to get these mugs published.
On a seriously, that's what I like to do. If you want to connect with other authors and people, because you could might be an opportunity for you to go and speak and talk about what you do, talk about your stories, talk about the reason why you do them, and obviously what you're thinking, and the actual day-to-day issues that happen in the world. You want to get them out there, and you want to go make people see this is what goes on properly, and not just what the mainstream media don't broadcast and what actually happened. That's the whole point. Hence why podcasting is growing faster than the mainstream media these days. It's almost overtaking it, because we broadcast or we publicize the things that they don't because of the politically correct word. They can't be too PC. They don't offend you. Sorry. Oh dear, I might offend you. Throw your tongue at the pan, love. It's like, it's so true. It's what it is. So, did I offend you? Oh dear, tough titties. I don't care. Get on with it. So that's that's what you got to do. It's doing the stuff that the mainstream media won't broadcast, and actually getting it out there and getting these messages. Hence, podcasting is growing and it's really taking off, and that's what it's about. So I'll add you on Facebook. I'd love you, both of you. I want to get you both in my network, so I want to get you to expand what you do and connect with other people, and hopefully you can be interviewed on their podcast shows as well. And whatever, you know what I mean? Get yourself. Okay, hence my show is Ramsey Unleashed, Going Beyond Borders. I want to get people crossing the borders, basically. So, a network in the day, if you want to get your brand out there, doors open. That's what I like to say to both of you. And Kinty, everybody else, hey, I like to connect and chat. It's good fun.
Okay, Fraser, thank you so much.
Yes, I really need to shift my backside because I need to do some work today. And if I keep sitting here drinking coffee, listen, you ladies talk about 8 feet bookshelves. I'm thinking, right, okay, I better move. But but listen, good to connect, and I'll connect with you on Facebook and have a chat at a convenient time after you've caught up on your sleep. Okay, after this.
Okay.
Right, I'll speak to you soon.
All right,
okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Fraser. So, let's switch gears. In a perfect world, career job, ideal job, would it be a writer, author, publisher?
All day, a writer. And I used to say it would be an editor.
Okay.
I don't think editor. I think it was strictly writing.
Okay.
love to teach other people how to market their books once I become, the guru on that myself. I don't think I want to edit other people's books because I'm not comfortable taking somebody's work and saying, say it this way. Editors are amazing to me, but I'm not confident in the ability to tell somebody how to tell the story that they have.
Right.
Because it was just like the post we saw the other day. If me and you experience the same thing, we can tell the exact same experience, but people are going to take something different from the both of us. So right. I'm not comfortable with that.
It's a hard one.
Read this or critique. I can tell you, oh, I like this, or I can tell you holes in your story. Mm-hmm. Like this is clear. This isn't consistent. Last sentence you said she did this, and now you're saying she did that. But beyond that, I'm not comfortable telling somebody how to tell their story. So, dream career for me, writing, publishing, getting into my nonfiction writing, like different issues I want to speak on, different things I want to bring to the forefront, but writing all day.
What are those issues that you're passionate about in the nonfiction realm?
Getting 911 operators seen as first responders, because we are not. We're seen as, I think it's office clerks is how we're written into it. Mm-hmm. Getting stress management and therapy as a mandatory norm for police officers, and not seen as something that crazy people do. Issues dealing with, I don't want to say everything because that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms. Childhood health issues like vaccinations and homeschooling. It's just different things that I think should be the norm, but we have backwards sometimes. Okay. Like I don't think people that are public servants should live outside of the area that they serve. Because to me, it's a lot harder for you to mistreat your neighbor than it is some stranger in a neighborhood you don't care about.
All facts.
So it's just a lot of things that I think that as a whole we do backwards. And I want people to see why.
Absolutely. So what do you tell young readers who want to write, those who are 11, just like you, and don't know the first thing about putting the story together?
Of an 11-page double-sided story.
Make sure you get a copy first off.
Definitely. Save everything, even if you think it's garbage, even if you think, oh, well, I'm not going to come back to this. And I become more old-fashioned with my writing the more I get into it. Mm-hmm. Like having an electronic file is cool, but I want to print everything out and have file folders of version A, version B, version W. Like, I want to see that in pen and paper sometimes. That's all it takes. Like, write everything and save everything. Never think that you can read it and say, okay, this isn't good, but don't do anything with it. Keep it.
Yeah.
Every version of everything that you write, because you never know what's going to spark that inspiration. And that's one thing I did not do when I was younger. I would start stuff, I wouldn't like it, I would delete it. Okay. So now I save everything.
So you have seemingly meshed together writing and music over the course of your undertaking as a writer. So if your life was a soundtrack, give me your 10-track playlist.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. If my life was a soundtrack. Janelle Monáe, Don't Judge Me. That is definitely my life and song, especially the lyrics when she says, "I know I got issues, but they drown when I kiss you."
Might need to listen to this song again. I don't think I've listened to the words.
I love that song because it's basically this person saying, "Look, you have fallen in love with the facade. I am this flawed human, but I want you to think that I'm still capable of love."
Okay.
Which is the theme in most of my stories.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, don't judge me, Janelle Monáe. Slut Like You by Pink, where she's saying, listen, dudes are not the only ones that are out here sleeping with people for pleasure and not love. Don't get this twisted.
All facts.
Let's see, that's 2 songs, right? Dang, this hard.
8 more. My favorite question.
Aaliyah, We Need a Resolution.
Wow.
I love that song. What else? Outkast and the Dungeon Family, Gangsta Shit, because I'm so Southwest Atlanta.
Yes, you are, ma'am. Yes, you are.
Yes. Let's see. We on number 5. Let's see. Busta Rhymes in the Ghetto.
Okay.
Whitney Houston, I Want to Run to You.
I wanna run to you.
Jim Stone's Circles. If you have not checked him out, he's an amazing artist. JD's Abuse.
Okay.
Another amazing artist.
What is that, 8?
That's 8. So 9 and 10. Beyonce, I Was Here. People sleep on her because she's so popular that they forget she does have songs of absolute substance. And that song tears me up every single time.
All right, what album was it on?
It was on the year of the 4 album.
Okay.
I Was Here, which the beginning of the song is I Want to Leave My Footprints on the Sands of Time. I absolutely love that song. It's just a song about, I just want to leave my mark. My mark doesn't have to look like yours. My mark doesn't have to be attached to billions of dollars and material things. My mark is, did I move you with the passion and the gift that God gave me?
Well.
So that song, every time I hear that song, I cry. My kids think I'm absolute nuts when I hear it.
You are an absolute mess.
Huh?
I said you are an absolute mess, but a beautiful one.
Last but not least, let's see. The
Whisper Song, the Yin Yang
Twins. Let's see. We got to throw in something gangster.
I'm just saying.
Nah, it can't be the Yin Yang Twins. Kilo Ali. I want to show you. You better.
So good. That's a good soundtrack though. It's an eclectic variety that speaks to so many different levels of who you are and your writing style. So if your favorite story became a movie, 1, what story would it be? And 2, who would be your lead characters? What actress or actor would be the roles of those 2 people or multiple people, depending on your lead
story? I don't even have one. Like, so it depends on the mood. Let's see.
Let's do synchronized dreaming then.
Oh boy.
Characters in it.
Huh?
I said it has a lot of good characters in it. So you need
Let's
a
see.
leading woman and a leading man.
Leading woman. Ooh. Uh, leading woman if she was a little bit older. Well, no, because she's not terribly young. But leading woman, maybe Zendaya.
I like her.
Zendaya has a lot of depth and substance, and
Absolutely.
she's just a breath of fresh. She's like the goofy, quirky, but beautiful girl that
Mm-hmm.
will take over the world someday. And I love her on screen and off.
Yeah.
And if it were going to be a guy, the leading character was a guy, I can't think of his name, but he played in Bird Box.
You talking about the guy that everybody is going wild over, posting all them pictures?
I know him from before Bird Box. He's on Tyler Perry shows If Loving You Is Wrong.
I didn't watch Bird Box, so I can't be of any help right now.
Don't look at Bird Box because that's not why I would choose him. Look at him on If Loving You Is Wrong.
Okay.
It's just a certain type of protection that this aura of protection he gives off when playing against female leads.
Okay.
That's very natural to me. And Dex is definitely a protector.
Okay. And do you see that is there a chemistry that you think that would be created between them on screen, as well as like would it correlate? Because sometimes when you read books, what you read in a book is far better, some people would say, than the movie, and then some people would say, oh, the movie's far better than the book. I mean, of course, that's subjective.
I think that their chemistry would be, because of how they play their roles. Like there's a reluctant vulnerability about her.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an almost accidental aura of protection about him.
Okay.
Like even when he's upset, I ain't thinking about you, but did you eat? You getting on my nerves, take your iron pills. Like
Right.
I think that those two characters would definitely mesh well. And another thing that I put in the characters that you don't see on screen is when you have a female love interest taller than a male love interest. I have a coworker and her well, they're not fiance, they've just been together so long. Her boyfriend is shorter than her. And she says that when they go out, they get looks sometimes, or people like, why would you? Like it's just like this unwritten rule that women have to be with men taller than them.
His character may make him 10 feet tall, even though he may only be 5'2".
Exactly. So I just wanted to bring, because I've dated guys shorter than me. I'm 5'10", barefoot, no shoes.
And every woman that I've stumbled across, the comment is, oh, he must be taller than me. And everybody seems to want someone 6 foot taller. We can't all have 6 foot and taller. Some of us got to take our thing.
So
that character, I mean, I think, and you write the character you want regardless of what height they are. And if they're shorter, it's not about the shortness that matters, it's the confidence and the character.
That part.
Because you can build a level of height and depth into a person that their actual height can't match.
Exactly. I wrote that with 2 of the characters in the book. So that's also another thing that I've seen men get picked on about, especially in police. Mm-hmm. If they're always, it's crack jokes like, oh, y'all gonna bring a real officer, or just them cracking jokes with each other, and they laugh, but they looking like, listen,
yeah,
say something else.
It's real. I mean, and we put so much pressure on men having to be a certain height, look a certain way, have so many inches.
Ah.
above all other things. That, I mean, and we add so much pressure instead of just truly letting the person's character shine. And I know I'm not the rule, probably speaking to the exception, because there are women like you and myself who look past all the societal pulls to attracting someone.
Yeah.
How many digits he's got?
Joke.
I mean, I just
my sisters would joke and say,
look,
definitely doesn't look at looks. And I think every dude that I've dated, they've been very attractive to me. I don't care about how other people see them.
Yeah. But do you write with that same energy? Like, or are they seemingly attractive? Or
it depends on the person that I'm writing the love interest for.
Okay.
So I have a person that is super vain. That guy is going to match, her identity of what a man should be. And maybe I'll reveal, oh, okay, you assumed he was this way because he looks like this. You assumed he would have no debt. Or vice versa. I'm working on a story where a guy, he pays a girl to basically marry him.
Oh. How much you paying?
Haven't thought of a dollar amount, but it's significant because he's one of the hottest rappers in Atlanta.
Okay.
He pays her. And he thinks that, oh, if I pay her, she'll do this and she'll do that. And what he realizes that she agrees because she thinks she can help him. She just doesn't know with what. She's very uninterested in his money.
Right.
And that story of, okay, I assumed this, but I just put my foot in my mouth, and how am I going to take my foot out now?
Okay. So are we lending itself to it's this way now, but it'll end up being something different at the end?
Oh yeah.
I'm rooting for love.
Of course you are, darling.
I'm rooting for love. Look, put some of my life story in that story. I'm here for it.
Man, listen. I wish I could put some of his money in my bank account.
Again, put my life story. Current scenario, put that one in there. So I can help you write it. Have a ghostwriter. Would you ghostwrite for other people?
Yes. I would love to be a ghostwriter.
What's the appeal to ghostwriting for you? And my eyes are burning.
You get to try new genres, or you get to do something completely different than what you would do, and know that people think your stuff is hot.
Yeah.
Without them necessarily knowing it's you.
Right.
So I bought a book on ghostwriting because I really want to get into it, but I want to get into it in a way that maybe not be normal.
Okay.
I want to write wedding vows for people. I want to write wedding vows for people. I want to write love letters for people. And they don't ever, like, I don't care if nobody knows, I would know. So I would even ghostwrite songs for people. I would ghostwrite songs for people.
Yeah.
Like when people accuse artists, oh, they have a ghostwriter. I would like to be said ghostwriter, whether it be R&B or hip hop.
Those genres, or would you cross over into other ones if you were asked?
I would definitely, because I listen to, my playlist has everything from Pat Benatar, Bunny Tyler, Leanne Rhymes, to Busta Rhymes, T.I., Migos. Like, and everything in between. My
Right.
sister laugh at me because they say I listen to weird music, but when I listen to what they listen to, I've put them on to artists like Tracy Chapman, Pat Benatar, Bunny Tyler, people that they would never hear on the radio. Well, maybe Tracy Chapman. But what song besides Total Eclipse of the Heart do they play of Bunny Tyler's if they play that one?
Right.
I've always been drawn to music, even before writing. I would love to write for other artists.
Who would you, your top 5 artists, who would you write for?
Who would I write for? The greats. Her. Absolutely love her.
Me.
She. Huh?
I said me. Okay, sorry. You know I love music.
She is incredible, and the fact that she is truly a musician.
Mm-hmm.
She sings, she writes, and she has always wanted, like, she's never had any other job. She's been on TV doing talent shows since she was 10 years old. So I would want to work with her. I would want to work with Kendrick Lamar. I would want to work with Pink.
Okay.
Absolutely love Pink. And the last 2, Killer Mike and who else?
Yeah, who else?
Jade Nova.
All right. Two of them I'd have to look up, I think.
Jade Nova was Rihanna's background singer.
Okay.
And she does a ton. You would know her online from her Beyonce impersonations. She has a ton of videos that have had millions of views from her pretending to be Beyonce.
Okay.
And she has videos where she mimics other artists and sounds exactly like them. And she just came out with her first album. She sounds nothing like the artist she mimics.
So she's got some Ariana Grande in her spirit, and she's a good imitator as well.
Hilarious. Her impersonations are spot on.
Okay. So J Nova and then Killer Mike, is that Atlanta?
Killer Mike? Yeah, do you remember and the whole world loves it when we don't get. He's on that song.
Okay. Okay.
But he's been in the game forever. Like, he has his own group now. He just came out with his own Netflix series. It came out yesterday.
And what's it called?
Hold on, because I have to see. Give me 1 second.
1 second has been expired.
You know what? The name of his show is Trigger Warning.
Okay. That's what they put that's what they put on the explicit content sometimes.
Yeah, Trigger Warning, where he talks about race relations and just political stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love how he thinks. I like his relationship with his wife, and I like the work that he does here in Atlanta.
Okay.
So, I worked on,
No, keep going. I'm sorry.
I worked on a project of a very close person to me for the first time. I don't know if he wants to use the song.
Okay.
But that felt amazing.
What was the synopsis of the song? Was it love?
Huh?
Was the song about love?
No. The song was about severing ties with someone. So it started off as love.
Okay.
But it did not end that way. Well, maybe it ended that way, but it ended with I love me enough not to be in this situation.
And did that give you some material for new material?
Everything gives me material for new material.
Now, as a writer, and I know in our group it's so easy to fall into because we have those smaller circles within our writing group. Do you find yourself, and if you do find yourself, are there multiple? Do you find yourself writing from a muse of sorts? Is there any interest that you've had over the course of your writing tenure, so to speak, within that group, where you have developed a muse that's giving you inspiration? Or
definitely, Arian is definitely that person.
Okay.
And it's so crazy because it started off as I'm gonna shoot my writing ship shot.
Right. Which we all did that with one person or another.
And it was like, oh, let me write something to this. Or, oh, let me write. And it ended up being the Baby Love and Pharaoh Chronicles.
Which were really good. I mean, but it's so easy to even move that into reality because we were so close-knit in that community. So it's almost like having a virtual reality game and then saying, turn off, and then y'all pick up and move out into the real world and say, okay, play. Because of the connections that were made. I mean, because like you said, you shoot your writing shot, and so you collab with someone, not on one piece, but multiple pieces. So you guys are spending time in each other's inbox saying, hey, look at this part to this segment of our writing piece, and feeding off of each other's energy and writing style at the same time. So you're developing characters together in the midst of developing a relationship, whether that's a relationship that's a friendship or a relationship that could bloom into more. And I think we try to explore those, but we don't explore them enough because they do exist in the writing group.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Whether it be life or just not being online as much or whatever it is, I feel like it's easy to not cultivate those relationships because you're thinking, oh, we only communicate in here.
Right.
Not the case. If you spent so much time creating with someone to the point where you feed off each other's, those relationships 1,000% need to be preserved.
Right.
So.
And what does that preservation look like?
What we did last year. Jumping in, tagging them on and saying, hey, we haven't written in a while. Let's do this. Okay. Because you need that. You definitely need that. And shoot, how short of a time frame it takes him to write something compared to me when it comes to poetry still.
Yeah, but y'all seem to go back and forth like it was almost effortless, and it didn't take that long. I mean, because both of y'all encouraged me to write a response to what y'all wrote.
Oh, yeah.
Who won the minute here? What are y'all doing? What is this conversation? It was a dance, and it was like, it was sensual and it was enticing, but there was a clear leader in the dance that you guys were creating with your pens and paper. And as people were taking notice, because I remember going back to the comments and just looking at people say, oh my, like really? It's not even first of all, it's not even a sensual Saturday, so what is going on? And even just the care and consideration of the words, the placement of each word, the use of words that weren't necessarily sexual in nature, but the undertones and the currents of each word that you chose on purpose. And I would have to reread, and sometimes I'd have to pull out my dictionary because, Ariane be using words that come from like...
is the Eminem of poetry.
Comes from Pluto or under a rock of Obsidian or whatever, because I'm just like, listen, homeboy, I don't know where you got these words from, but
Even when he writes, he can write a review about anime, and you have to pull out a dictionary. Like, I ain't come here for all of that.
and I'm like, and I understand that he's very tactful and he's very thoughtful, and it takes him time to write poetry, and because he uses so much thought into it, like him and TJ.
Yes.
I have no idea what hallway thesaurus is in their brain, but expansive words like that is, if I had to add one superpower as a writer, it would be to have that hallway. That I would want the Encyclopedia Britannica and the thesaurus and the dictionary all in a case of
they got it. They got it, and you.
And it's like words that you don't commonly use.
Because I'm like, listen, I am not about to go get a thesaurus and find the longest synonym that I can find.
Right. Like, what does that mean? I'm just going to say slept well. He did said, you hung over the chair in a drift. And I'm like, but he ain't said it like that. And I'm like, but what does that mean? And he was like, oh, they were. And I'm like, exactly. Notebook.
Like, I didn't come here for all of that. I did not.
Absolutely. And so, as a writer, how do you maintain your own voice in light of so much brilliance? Because, like I always joke, y'all make me want to burn my notebooks, and of course, that's the highest compliment because it's not true. But it definitely challenges you to find what makes you you and what makes your pen spill the ink that it spills. So how do you find your voice in the midst of all the brilliance around you?
The best quote I ever heard in life was from a professor I had at Georgia State, Dr. Shirley Holmes. And she said, if both of us agree 100% of the time, one of us is unnecessary.
Right.
I can't write like anybody else but Tiffany. That's it. I can do things to make my writing better, more colorful, more vibrant. Mm-hmm. But the only penmanship I am fluent in is mine.
Absolutely.
I do not try to imitate another writer because I feel like that's your lane. And I enjoy your lane, and I want you to keep traveling down your lane because I want to see your work, but I'm not you.
Right.
So if people only wanted to read one type of book, you wouldn't have shelves and boxes of books with your mom, and I would need to get more bookshelves.
Right. This is true. This is true. And I think that, but we also live in a culture, and you said it earlier, where we were talking about poetry specific, and I think the same could probably be said about short stories. Everybody thinks that they're this. Everybody thinks that they're a poet. Everybody thinks that they can write a story. And it's well and true, everybody can write a story, but everybody picks what everybody else is writing. And so that's why I said it's important to find your own voice. But it's also important, if you're going to write in a certain genre, to hone in on your craft. And like you said, you study well. A lot of people just say, oh, I wrote this and it's seemingly good because 12 people told me it was good, so I'm a writer. And there are people who don't take time to show their work and do the work. So what does that look like for you, showing your work? Because you said you were writing. Do you write daily? Do you have a daily jot? Do you have like writing?
I have a daily jot. I have notebooks where I write down ideas that look absolutely crazy to anybody else, and sometimes me sometimes. And I pulled away so much of depending of electronic devices for the brainstorming phase. Brainstorming and ideas, I have to pull out good old pen and paper.
Yeah.
I can't do that on a computer. So every single where I go, I carry a notebook. Every day, all day, I'm writing something in that notebook every single day. And even this element, sometimes the character will come first, or sometimes a scenario will come first. And it can come from the craziest of places. So the story about, I read a book where the guy paid a girl to be his girlfriend.
Look, I'm gonna ask my question. How much he pay her?
He paid her, I think it was $5,000, and she was supposed to be his girlfriend for 2 weeks.
Okay. So kind of like what's that movie with Nick Cannon?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Love Don't Cost a Thing.
But reverse.
Right.
It did
so
cost.
It's like, this is interesting, but the basis of the book were all about, they weren't about people of color.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I can see this little situation, but that's not how that would happen in my world. So I read this book years ago.
Right.
So I was watching some reality TV show where they were talking about, oh, the relationship is made up. The relationship is made up. But I was like, what would that look like if that were true? Right. So the scenario came, and then I thought about the book. It's called 2 Week Girlfriend.
Okay.
I think that was her first novel. Mm-hmm. Amazing. That book is amazing. I can't say I liked all of the books in the series, but that one, she did a damn good job on that one and the sequel to it. Okay. So looking at reality TV and saying, what would that situation look like? And then delving into the psychological issues you would have to actually want to do that.
Right.
I came up with this story.
So are these the material that you mentioned on the show today? Are these the type of materials that we can expect for these shorts that are coming out this year? Or these materials that are going to be later down the line, later down your writing line?
And not so much short story. The snippets and even pieces of Baby Love and Pharaoh are going to be in the book that's coming out hopefully in February.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to get people to buy it, whatever. I just want to prove to myself you can publish a work. It's not going to be trash. It's going to be heavily edited, and I'm going to put my foot in it. But I'm not trying to, oh my God, get rich quick off of this. This is just to acclimate me to the publishing world and getting my works published.
Yeah. And in short stories, specifically short stories and poetry at the top of that, those are two areas where you find, if they're not compilations and they're not famous people already, they're harder to tap into the market in terms of, because you got to sell millions of copies before you seemingly made it, so to speak. So it's the goal of
advertisement.
Absolutely. And it's sometimes just being aligned to the right place in the right time.
Yeah, I don't look at it at all as, oh, if I sell enough of this, like I have a whole job. It's been paying my bills for years. Like right. The short stories, it's a creative outlet. I absolutely love short stories, but it's also advertisement. If I give you something, if I give the reader something for free, when I say, oh, buy this book for $12.99, you know, this is her first book, but I read all those short stories. She's great. I'm going to get it. Right. Like, I want to prove myself to the reader, because I feel like with self-publishing, it's easy to get selfish in your craft. It's easy to say, oh, I'm not going to put out anything, or I can't stand the people that don't contribute to the group, but they put up book links. Who are you? Why are you putting up book links? Why? Who are you?
Look, I delete them all the time because I'm like, you're not
I
even
can't
following posting instructions.
that's selfish. And you have people, well, I'm not gonna get paid for my craft for free. It's not for free. You're earning a fan,
Yeah,
as you should with all of your fans. And the best fans will do free promotion for you all the freaking time.
yep,
We shout our favorite things to the rooftop, no questions asked. We don't need to be paid for it because we love it that much.
right.
So in order for me to get in who I want to get in the masses good graces, I have to prove to them I am a solid writer.
Right.
I take it seriously.
Absolutely. And I think that's the culture within our writing group changed so much um, from when we first started.
Oh yeah.
Because when we first started, that was all there was. It was always posting, conversations, jump on this, rate this story. Here's a topic. Here's a haiku challenge. Here's a dating scenario. Write from this. And you're absolutely right. When we don't see the work, which is why I have mentioned, showing your work and how important that is, because other people have to believe in what you're doing. But even more so importantly, you have to believe in what you're doing. And I think that's where the lost art is in a group like that, because it's getting seemingly bigger. There isn't what we had when we started.
I think when I came into the group, it was over 1,000, but it was under 2,000.
It was.
And now it's almost 10,000 people. The last time I checked. So I want the culture to go back to, I'm just so excited about the craft. I want you all to share in what I've worked so hard for. Not buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand that. How do you ask a group of 10,000 strangers? You don't know me, but buy this. No.
Absolutely. But you know what's funny? And I think Candence is one of the ones that said it. And I think even Cruz said it, that in that group, more strangers have purchased their work than seemingly friends and family that have known them their whole lives. And I would say the same is true for me. And I have multiple books. Most of the people who have purchased my books are not people I know. And I'm not famous or on the New York sellers bestsellers list yet, but most of those people that have said, hey, I want to get a book, or send me to your link, or let me look, it have not been people who I would say I've known forever. And that level of camaraderie that we've had within that group when we first started was so far different that it began to feel like a family until it got too big. And then it was like a mega church of writers. And it was like, it's almost like you need to start. It's almost, look, we're almost like at 9,000 people. So it's like, now you need to create little small groups, little life group of writers. I mean, and we seemingly have one within that group. We still have BSE, which for those, of course, who don't know, that's Black Sheep Enterprises. But we still have that entity, and not so much as we did when we first started because of the energy, and everyone has gone in different paths and directions, and but we've experienced so much together. Seizures, hospitalizations, a child death, parental child custodial drama. Like, the list has gone so far down the road just in that immediate circle that we've created stories within our own life stories. But we've also connected on bonds because of those stories. And I think we've lost some of that within the bigger group. So we have to, I guess, as a senior representatives of WBAC challenge ourselves, and it's hard because Curtis had just asked. He said, "Can you be all in with your writing as an author and still be at your best while trying to hold down a regular job?" And I found out that once I shifted from writing in the group to being an admin in the group, I spend more time deleting than I do posting.
See.
But for me, I am deleting stuff that's not relevant to the group. It's like, it's a writing group, so why are you posting art in here? It's a writing group, so why are you posting a live video on painting? We have other subgroups for that. So this is a writing group. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're painting something and there's a poem or a story attached to it, by all means include that. But half the time they be on there with musical videos and paintings or pictures or stories or pictures of themselves that aren't actually what we are. And so it's like weeding through that, not necessarily telling them they cannot, but there is another area for you to be who you are and flourish.
Yeah.
This is not that good.
The culture of a existing group.
Yeah. And Curtis said, "Are you using your books?" Okay, so I think he might be asking me. Are you using your books to obtain speaking engagements and or other high-paying opportunities? Curtis, I'm currently trying to build my brand. I have not in the past because I work like 3 Hebrews and 29 Jamaicans. So unfortunately, I have unfortunately spent most of my time working. And I've walked into 2019 with a big fat, like, no has always been a therapeutic and complete sentence for me, but I have made no even more present in, even though I can't really afford to do that sometimes because we're so short staffed. I work in domestic violence. But I am trying to extend my gift into that culture of speaking engagements with this upcoming book that I've written. The goal, the hope, the reality that I am speaking into existence is that it will reach many. Because it's very transparent and authentic, but it speaks to the relationship of a dysfunction with my father, which played itself into relationships with other men. So
I can't wait to read.
Hopefully that answers your question. As I work out the platform on which I will stand on to speak that. So
I'm short. We had someone quit and had to pretty much encourage someone to leave at the same time. So you send me your work, I get to work. I'll open up Facebook, and then our phones will start reading. And Facebook just opened, ain't posted.
Right.
It's getting crazy, and I don't like when friends send me things and I'm trying to rush and read it. I want to read it. I want to curl up with it.
Right.
On my couch stuff.
Well, look, I'm still waiting on feedback on DDD, so I'm gonna need you to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Like you.
Why do you say you're working on your brand? Because I just now made a separate resume writing page for Instagram. And now I have to do the same for Facebook because I don't feel like I should advertise the resume writing and the fiction writing on the same platform. So I think I'm going to freelancing page and for real writing page for my fiction because I need to separate it.
Okay. I'm here for it. And so you have a website, yes?
I have my social media platforms. I don't have a website yet.
Okay. So working on a website and rebranding for your different things that you do services for, to include resume writing and fiction.
My freelance writing.
Okay. And then your upon that, do vows and letter writing?
Yes. Now that I will advertise in.
I'm just speaking it into existence because those things are easy to get into because you always have somebody who wants a love letter.
Oh yeah. You know, people talk about Craigslist, but I have got more resume writing money from advertising on Craigslist than any other platform.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. There is an opportunity to do what you are doing on any necessary platform. And I always say, if you don't fit in somewhere, your gift will always make room for you.
Oh
And
yeah.
you have to be willing to walk in whatever avenue or street that looks.
And I had to get out of my head with the nonfiction writing. Oh, other
Okay.
people do it, other people do this, other people do that. They might not come to me. Okay, but they saw me first. Or maybe they like that my Southern vernacular is the same as their Southern vernacular. Or maybe they like my earrings. I don't know. Other people do resumes. They chose me.
Right.
So I don't let that concern me. I come up. It gets in my ears sometimes, and then I have to pluck it out. Like, you can't let that doubt get in your head, or you're not going to be productive.
That's true. That's true. So let's see if I got this list right. So we have fiction, short stories that deal with marginalized love stories.
Yeah.
Um, and serving the underdog, seemingly ordinary people. And then we have horror short stories.
Yes.
On anybody's investigation discovery, but make you think that this happened to you yourself. Then you have your resumes,
Mm-hmm.
love letters on the horizon, and vows on the horizon. Am I missing anything?
No.
Okay, so this is your perfect world career.
This is
You will be doing all these things.
I would be doing all these things. I would send Pearl her resume and work on Keisha's wedding vows. All while I'm submitting my short stories and publishing novels. Like, that is my dream, to write and create all day.
That's awesome.
Because that's not work to me. Like, I would love it. And to be home with the children.
Okay. So definitely working from home, doing all those things.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's gonna be the dream one day.
Okay, so this is your dream. Help you actualize, because we talked about on the last podcast, encouragement into 2019 and goals that we have for our girlfriends. So now that you have those things written out or visualized out, they're on a vision board somewhere.
I made my kids do a vision board and didn't even do one. I'm going to do it though.
You got to the end of the first man.
My vision board is so petty. I got my daughter the pink one, and this little chick switched with me. So she took my white one. I'm not putting my vision on a pink vision board. I'm gonna have to go buy another one.
Listen, I mean, you paint it, tape it, put some newspaper around it. It don't even matter.
I'm gonna go to the white board. I'm not doing that pink. I can't.
Oh man. Girl, you better put that vision on that pink board. Okay, so once you've written the vision and you've made it plain, so now you have a goal. You mentioned already that you want to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said 10 short stories this year.
Yes.
Okay, so that's goal one. Are you going to reach out to solicit, encourage, advertise, market because you already do it for your resume, so you even have that platform kind of in an execution mode. So what about the horror stories and then the love letters and the vows? How are you going to market those in 2019? How are you going to get yourself out there in those areas that you may not really have experience in, but you are definitely enjoying to do?
Fiverr is a great place to get the weirdest gigs ever.
Okay.
Content bills are awful, but Fiverr is different because you can find people seeking not so popular services.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I learned working at Dillard's, I was in the home department and we did the wedding registries.
Mm-hmm.
Going into Facebook groups that do wedding registries and talk about brides and stuff like that, I'm starting to do that and reach out to people. Like, hey, these are my services. I know it sounds weird, but I can help you make your day exceptional.
Absolutely.
So just to tell people what I do and how I do it, that has been an experience.
Absolutely. I was literally given a business card to somebody in, where were we at? I've been in Marietta, Georgia. When I was just there, somebody was talking about getting married and they considered coming down here for their wedding ceremony. They had them and her and her partner. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to reach out to you." So that absolutely, it's all about putting yourself out there and then deal with the content.
The thing that people make a mistake about is they'll reach out to 10 people and only one person will show even a remote interest and nobody will buy, and they think, oh, okay, it's not for me. I had to get to that mentality to where if I reached out to 10 people and only one person had any type of reaction to it and I didn't get any sales, oh, I need to figure out a way to reach out to 1,000 people. Enough people hear me. Let me speak louder. Yeah. So you have to turn off your inner critic when it comes to your advertising. Because if you're about your craft and you put in the work and people just don't know you yet, you have to.
And Curtis said, do you need help with putting your website together?
Yes. Yes. Because for a website, I pay good money for a website and can't use it. So I'm that dense.
I remember when you paid because we talked about this. This is what, 2 years ago?
I can't, I'm that dense when it comes to websites. I need somebody to say, log in here, you put this here, and it'll update. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's difficult.
It's gotten to the point where I'm just going to take a WordPress class because I can't.
Okay. Curtis said he can certainly help. Can't say you trying to get our attention? Did you just wave? Oh, okay. So any closing remarks as a writer of short stories that seemingly implants parts of your life, parts of your journey, paths that you wear well, your story as a 911 operator, as a mother, as a single woman, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, as a niece.
Do you love that Public Enemy song, 911 is a joke?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I've heard some of any song that has anything to do with F the police, I probably have.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Words of wisdom. I was going to ask you what was your craziest call, even though I've heard most of your stories already. But words of wisdom for the closing remarks for yourself, for others.
I have a friend, and she's not a close friend by any means. Like, we have each other's phone numbers. We might not call each other. We met on a trip. My friend Siobhan put together a beach trip. We all went to the beach, and she started a band, which has been another dream of mine, at the age of 41.
Oh, nice.
She has consistent paid gigs, and she's been doing it for 6 months. So I used to think that I don't have my life together. I'm in my 30s. I'm just not going to get it together. As crazy as that sounds. When you look at people that have been living 90 years, 80 years, like, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be the complete people about what we want to do and how it's going to happen at such a young age. And now I'm like, it is never too late to be the person you wanted to be when you grew up. And that's the life that I'm trying to make happen. I want to be very purposeful in my gifts, and I want to take that pressure off myself. So no pressure.
Right.
You wanted to be a writer at 10 and you didn't act on it till 40. Who cares? You're probably gonna live to 80. You got 40 years to get this together.
All facts. Yes, ma'am. All facts.
I'm not worried about, I haven't published. I've been writing and doing all of this. I just now started taking seriously, like thinking about I want to do this seriously as a career when I got in the group. I hadn't been in the group that long, so no pressure. I'm just gonna make it happen.
Yes, ma'am. I love it.
With these headphones, looking like you at a silent party.
Well, I mean, look, the real story is that you survived another podcast.
I did. The real story is that I'm about to get a nap because I had to be to work at 2.
Man, the real story is I'm about to get a nap because I got another podcast at 9.
Well, I want to thank you, ladies. You guys were amazing, and it was so great for you guys to come in there and do 4 hours straight. So, guys, we're moving on to the next room, and Ben Tuttle will be doing his thing. But thank you, ladies, so much.